Hello, my name is Ezekiel. I'm a drag queen from Singapore, and my name is Miss Chile.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I'm a trans guy who make videos about LGBTQIA plus people where they get to talk about anything that they want that somehow relates to them being queer. I just came back from a trip around Malaysia and Singapore, and in Singapore I met up with Ezekiel.
Hi, my name is Ezekiel. I'm 33 this year. My pronouns are he, him, and when I do drag, it's she, her. Yeah, so I do security and events, but yeah, I also do drag also on a part-time basis.
Let's start by diving into his drag.
Her name is Miss Chile. It started in 2012. Before that, I was going through a very tough time in coming out process and everything. So that's when this drag character started to emerge. I wanted to help people through my experiences, because when I go into a club or a bar, if I go as a man, it's very difficult for me to reach out to someone or to talk to someone. They might think that, oh, I'm hitting on them. But if we go as a drag queen, it's much easier to, they will just share their opinions and how they're feeling and stuff like that. So that's how my drag started. I mean, every drag queen have their own reasons of why they do drag, but my drag is that mostly. I also enjoy interacting with people. Interaction is my main thing for drag, and to get to know people's stories, to get to know them better as a person, and also to encourage them just to be themselves at the end of the day.
These are Ezekiel's thoughts on the LGBTQ community in Singapore.
I mean, as you know, Singapore is very small. It's also right to say that the community in Singapore is extremely small, especially when it comes to the LGBT community. I mean, if you go to a normal bar, you will see the same people. But the thing is that we have a sense of belonging here, and also we support each other. So that's a good thing.
And doing drag in this context comes with difficulties, especially 12 years ago when Ezekiel started.
Doing drag in Singapore, it was tough. 12 years ago, it was tough because a lot of people didn't really know what drag is. And during the time, there was only about 5 to 10 people performing regularly. That was in 2012. So when I first started drag, I met another drag queen and I was inspired by her. Oh, she was performing, and then she was like drawing crowds to herself, and I was inspired by that. Like, what is the attractive quality this person have, and why people are coming to her and talking just because she dresses up. And I remember there's one thing to say that, everything's an illusion, whatever you see here. And that has stuck with me for quite some time, because I realized that people wear masks. So it's like, for me, doing drag, it's like a character, and it's a different side of me. Me as myself and me as a drag character is completely different. But yes, so coming back to the question, it started small because not many people know about drag. But when RuPaul's Drag Race came, and then that was sometime later, about when season 4 came in, and then that's when people got to know about RuPaul. And when RuPaul Drag Race came to Singapore, and that's when the explosion of drag occurred. Like, suddenly so many people want to do drag, and then and then there were so many drag queens, and then I was like thinking like, oh my god, how will it change the whole dynamics in Singapore's drag? Because it's good to have a lot of drag queens, but some of them, they are not experienced as others, you see. So sometimes when they want to do shows, right, they charge much lower for people per se, like our birthday event, they will charge much lower. And then when I charge a certain price, then they can tell me, oh, this person charged me a lower price. How come you're charging this? I said, do you want experience or you want amateur? It was difficult because a lot of people suddenly want to do drag. I think I stood the test of time because it's been 12 years. But now I can see that a lot of people are very passionate about drag. And I can see that in their performances, especially the young ones. They can do splits, jump from the top to all the way down. I mean, it's talent. Okay, not many people can do that. And they're performing regularly. And that is something that I admire, because I can't do that. I mean, I can perform, but I'm not really a performer per se. I'm more of like an interaction drag queen. It's nice to see that, and for me, the reason why I don't perform, because when I perform a few times, I find it a little bit tiring, I don't have much energy to talk to people because to me, talking to people is the main thing for me. But if other drag queens they would like to perform, then that's how they want to do it. So there's different forms of expression.
Singapore is a diverse country with big groups of people from different countries, with the Indian population making up 10%.
Also, being Indian and being a drag queen is also tough because I'm the only other Indian drag queen besides Kumal. Kumal is a drag comedian. So I get compared to Kumal a lot because I'm Indian. I used to do stand-up comedy and he does stand-up comedy also. There was one time I was heckled in the place and then they said, oh, when Kumal die, you can take over or something. Then I was like, oh my goodness. I'm not going to do that, or because Kumal in his own right is a legend, so I cannot go and compare myself and we are two different people and we have two different identities, and you cannot say that because it's not nice. So I left comedy and decided to make a name for myself, and that's when I created this character Miss Chile to differentiate.
Like he mentioned before, he does drag because of his mental health.
Like the reason why I'm doing drag because it's because of mental health. Everybody is struggling with something, and most of the time is issues with mental health, and it's a growing thing in Singapore, especially because it's a bit of a taboo subject here. But the government is having like initiatives like we have to talk about this. But I feel that this has to be talked about long ago, not just now, because if you look at other countries, they're talking about it since back then. So, but at least now they're having the effort, to talk about this. And for me, I have bipolar. That is something that I have, and I am living with it. And I also been through a depressive phase before that. And then that depressive phase was because of my ex-church, because they found out I was gay, and then they bring through me with conversion therapy. So conversion therapy is a horrible, horrible thing for someone to go through, because they threaten me with me going to hell and or they receive internal damnation and if you still remain to be gay and all that. It's scary because I was just 18 years old and at that point of time, and I had my very first love and they broke us up and everything. So it was traumatic because I felt that God was against me. I felt the church was against me. I felt my parents was against me. And then I attempted suicide.
But he was stopped and he found the will to live.
There's a reason to keep on living and always to keep on to inspire others because it's not easy. Yeah, life is never easy. So but we're already here, so we have to do something about it to make the most of it. That's the reason why I do drag, to reach out to people, just to live their lives. That's the main thing, yeah. Because it's really not easy for people being gay and or LGBT or any or part of the spectrum, because society views us differently already, and then if you have mental health issues, there's another layer to it, and you're even marginalized more. So that is something that we just need to help people to live the way they should live, not otherwise. Yeah.
Now, let's finish the video with a message to you from Ezekiel.
The main thing you have to know that you're not alone. When I had these issues, I felt very alone because I didn't know any queer people around me. It took me a time to realize that I wasn't alone because I went on the internet and found out that a lot of people, especially queer people, are suffering from depression and also suicidal attempts just because they're gay. And then I realized that, okay, if God is so angry with us, why not just strike us down immediately? That was a question that popped up in my mind. Just strike us down, to oblivion, and then that's enough. But there's so many gay people around, so why does it not happen? So that means we have free will. We can do whatever we want in this life. And this life is already given to us. So just make use of it. Don't stress too much because we are who we are. And that's the main thing. Yeah. So always find support. Friends that can support you. A community of friends, maybe queer or not, but those who can support you. and know that, that don't ever think that you're alone, because the earth is so big and there are so many queer people around. So, so you're never ever alone. Yeah.
If you enjoyed watching that video, please like, comment, subscribe and share the video. I really appreciate you showing your love in that way. If you also want to support the channel financially, that's possible via Patreon, but really no pressure. See you next time.